Okay, on this episode, we have an interview with Rick Giddings, who is the dealer who was robbed of nearly $90,000 in cards at the Atlantic City National this year. He does call me Colin throughout the interview, which is perfectly fine. Most people don't even know that there are two of us, and even fewer people know that we are twins. So, sharp eyed viewers might realize that this is Ryan giving the interview, but he does call me Colin throughout the interview, which is perfectly fine. And we have a picture of the person who allegedly committed this robbery at the National and Mr. Russell Porter. And of course, if you have any information about his whereabouts, please contact the Atlantic City Police immediately. And I hope you enjoy the interview. Let's jump right into this. I have Rick Giddings, the dealer that was robbed out of nearly $90,000 of cards at the National Sports Collectors Convention in Atlantic City. Rick, can you kind of walk us through what happened that day at the National when this gentleman approached your booth and all of this went down?
Well, we had a gentleman that's 56 years old from Willoughby, Ohio, who we know who it is, by the name of Russell Porter, who had called us in April, as I told you before, and said he was coming to spend money. We figured, okay, spend money. He spent money with us before. Not a problem. We trust him. You know, he's been doing business with us he's bought from us every year, it looks like, at the National or so, you know what I mean? From Ohio. Came up to the booth. I think it was about, if I'm correct, it was about 4 o'clock. About 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
And this was Saturday?
Yeah, approached. Now, I had given him his badge on Thursday, just so everybody understands, because he wanted to get in, but he never came in to see me, which was kind of weird, you know what I mean?
So you met him, just to clarify, you met him on Thursday to give him his badge to get into the National?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And so, but then you didn't see him until Saturday?
No, he kept sending me bull crap texts and whatever else. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, you're coming or you're not. Really didn't think much about it, you know. We were too busy. We had a large display of Mickey Mantles, Koufaxes, and Clemente, some of it my personal collection. So I've been around a long time. We've been a dealer for many years, and also a board of director for the National. So
okay.
Of all things, I feel bad because I got duped, and I'm on the board, so I'm a little but he approached the booth, sat down for a second, and started talking to Alan, which is the guy set up next to me, which we know real well from Dixon, Illinois. I'm telling Alan that, hey, I got $100,000 to spend. Blah, 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 blowing off. You know how guys talk, and they just,
Sure.
They got this, they got that, and they really, half of them don't got half the pocket to piss out of it. I have seen this guy spend money before. So, he tries to play big with the big dealers and whatnot. And from what I'm hearing from people in Ohio, he's got quite the track record, and from Atlantic City Police said he has quite the track record. But anyway, getting back into it. Open the cases, let him look. He's done it before, pulled cards. I know he pulled 456 Mantles. There's a whole list. You've probably seen it already. There was a couple Clemente rookies, a couple Koufax rookies. One card that I didn't put on the list was a 50 Jackie Robinson, which I wish I'd have put that on there, but I forgot it, okay? But it is what it is. They got what I could figure out what was lost from the inventory by the showcases of how it was taken.
Right.
He pulled them out. Sat at the table, put the cards on the table. I looked at him, and he says, what's it worth? I said, you got about X amount in book. I said, he offered me 26 or 27, 30,000 right in that area for the cards, and I kind of went, they cost me that, at least,
Sure.
minimum. He's probably under cost. He said, well, my eyes are going bad, and he started talking about, hey, Al. He looks over at my buddy, and he says to the guy next to him, he says, did you know that the $50,000 fits in a box? Now, this is the weird part for me. $50,000 fits in a box perfectly, a 400 count box. Now that's a little odd, okay? I mean, who the hell knows that, number one, okay? And who would say that, number two, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So he's got this gray bag, and he asked Alan, he says, would you take the bag over and put it back with you guys' stuff, with your till? We were doing a shitload of buy-ins at the show. It wasn't a great sell show, but it was a great buy show. And a lot of new stuff was being sold. It was, But anyway, so Alan takes it back there. We didn't look at it. We could care less. We just put it back there in good faith. we thought this guy's decent. He's been with us for years. What do you do?
Sure.
So he picks up the 29 cards, starts telling me, well, I want my son to see him, and he's about 2.5 booths down. He's down there by the restroom. You mind if I take him over to him? Now, I have met a couple of his sons, okay? Seem to be decent kids. I don't know. Hell, after this, I don't know.
Were they set up at the show, or were they just attending the show?
They were attending the show. They were watching the show. Okay. So that's fine. And they had somebody that had a booth there supposedly down there. I didn't mind. Okay, go down there. So he brings them down there. No problem. He comes back, sits back down, starts talking to us. Sits there for probably an hour, which is ironic, And then at that time, I started getting a little, hey, where's the card? Or are we going to strike a deal or whatever? Nothing had been discussed exactly about what the price would be of these cards, if that makes sense to you.
Right.
There wasn't a deal finalized in any which way or form, so everybody understands this, okay? I had just trusted someone, and damn me for trusting someone, okay? So then he gets up and he says, well, I'll find him. Instead of going back toward the bathroom, though, he says that they might have went to the other booth over here down the road. Down the aisle, so you understand, there was a set of doors, a 3 set of doors, which was the exits that go out of the Atlantic City door. Not the front entrance, but it takes you down to the front entrance, okay, because we're on the second tier.
Okay.
He took a left because I watched him. I never see him head to the door, but he was right next to the doors, if that makes sense to you, okay?
Okay.
He took a left and whatever else. Then I waited and waited while I went by again. About, I think it was 5:40. I got the text, 5:40 or something. The show was pretty much done, over. We're getting ready to wrap up. We're tired. We've been there, I don't know how many days since, actually me Monday, because I get there early Sunday because I'm on the board. And to help set it up, he doesn't show, and I get a text message after he'd been,
He texted you.
Yeah, he texts me and says, I'll see you in the morning. Now, I'm not a brain surgeon here, okay, Colin? I'm not. I have no, I'm not. I'm just a dumb hillbilly baseball card salesman for years. I've been around forever. You'll see me in every publication in the country. But at this point, I'm feeling duped. Do you understand? I'm scared. My stomach drops. I got good money in these cards. These are not cheap cards. These are very expensive cards. The good thing I did, the smartest thing I did, was I have a witness that's seen him walk away with the cards, 2 of them, okay? I also have a witness that's, when I turned around, I said, hey, at this point, let's see what's in the bag. So we open up this bag. It's a gray, the kind you carry behind your back, like all the kids carry, you know what I'm talking about? We open the bag up, and there's 2 boxes in there, ironically marked $50K on each one of them, which is absurd, okay? Oh, maybe there is. So I asked, there's a guy that set up next to me, which is Shoebox Cards, which is Wayne Varner. He was a big dealer out of Pittsburgh for many years. His daughter, Michelle O'Shea, was taking over the booth with her grandkids, which are about 25 years old. They're good kids. I said, Michelle, do you have a knife? Because I didn't have a knife, okay? I don't carry a knife because I'm not a trimmer. So anyway, I'm not one of the bad ones. I'm the one of the guys that want to put them in. So I open up the bag. I pull the box out. I slit the first one. It's got this little marking on it. It's got tape on it. I open the box, and the first one, my heart drops. Colin, I look at it. There's fucking 500 ones and $100 wraps.
Right.
Perfectly in the box, right? So great. Already I'm sick to my stomach. I'm flipping out the booth. I'm calling Larry Ross, who was the head of our security there, who's I think it's Trenton or Newark police lieutenant for years. He does a great job. He's really good at what he does, but he can only be in so many places so many times,
Sure.
I open up the second box right in front of Michelle and Alan, so there's my 2 witnesses watching that, and the second box has the same damn thing. So at this point, I know I'm taken. I know. It was a setup. There's no doubt about it. It was.
Now, did you contact him immediately or try to call him? Like, what was your then trying to communicate with him?
I did. I said, hey, I want my cards back or my money, whatever. And he says to me, I will see you in the morning.
And this is through text message?
Text message, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So at this point, I know I'm pretty much duped. He's trying to jab me. I don't know what the purpose was. In the conversation, though, he was talking with me and Alan. Earlier, he was talking about how many times he had been screwed by a couple of his friends. He's having a rough spout, whatever else. Now, rumor has it, now this is just rumor, I don't know what it is, but a lot of dealers had contacted me from the Ohio area, which is Canton, Akron, Cleveland. This guy has multiple arrests for battery, and a couple of arrests for theft. Okay, so he's no, and I had no idea this, Colin. I mean, he's always paid us. You know what I'm saying? So I have no idea.
How many deals and interactions had you had with him prior, like to lead up to the fact that you did give him a pass to this national? So you guys had, some interactions here. How many deals and how many interactions?
Probably 7 nationals.
So this is somebody that you would say, you know, at least a customer that you've dealt with.
I actually, Colin, if it was me and you, even and we were, I would consider him a friend. I would consider him, you know, once a guy does that much stuff with you, you would consider he's pretty safe, and you know, so damn me, you know, I understand that part, but it was still theft. You understand? There's no doubt about it. So at that point, Larry contacted the police. We waited till 11 o'clock the next morning.
Okay, Sunday morning.
Yep, Sunday morning, and I didn't want to set up at all. Obviously, you know, at this point I'm fried.
Sure.
I showed the cops the showcases that were missing cards. Some of them were stacked, you know, double stacked. You know, where I'd have a Clemente, have another one or whatever underneath, or mantle. I showed off about, I don't know how many mantles. I had, besides the 9.5 that was sold there for the record number, I probably had more mantles in my booth than anybody in the show. And everybody was snapshotting them and taking pictures and saying, "Can I take a picture? Hey, you need a mantle?" Being a smart ass, you know.
Right.
Obviously, mantle is the blue chip of baseball cards besides Wagner and Ruth.
Sure.
So, you know, I always invest in them, and I'm a Pirate fan, so I've always kind of collect my Roberto Clemente stuff. And who doesn't like Koufax or Gibson, you know? Although he didn't get any Gibsons, thank God for that. But at that point, like I said, it was they did that. They said, "Rick, you can leave." I went down to Atlantic City detectives. I gave a statement, the same statement I'm giving you, Colin, and Alan gave a statement, same statement, I guess, from when I come out, whatever else. And then I think they called Michelle to get her, you know, to get her also, and have to determine what it is. And by the time we were done with the book, without the Jackie Robinson, I forgot there was, and you know this as good as anybody else, there was $87,000 worth of cards there, but cost on it was probably about half of that, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
He had offered me like 26 or 30, and I kind of laughed at him when he first told me that. You know, I was like, dude, you know, what do you want me to do? Just give them to you? You know. So that's why I kind of chuckled when you did your thing and you said, "Hey, Rick, really 80,000 or probably 8,000? God, I wish if I could buy it for 10%, I'm all over it, Colin. You send me."
We say a lot of stupid things on the program, so that probably certainly was
For me, it's more about getting the story straight so everybody understands it's real. It did happen to someone like me. It doesn't matter. I'm no different than anybody else. I wipe my hind in the same way everybody else does. But am I upset? Yeah. Does it drive me nuts? Yeah. I worked hard. I drove all over the country to buy these cards. You understand? It didn't happen overnight to collect these cards or to buy them. I didn't really think that many people would be buying them. I only sold a few mantles there anyway, so it wasn't like, you know, they were really purchasing the heck out of mantles. The show, to me, as far as I was concerned, was a very good buy show. Sell show, you know, question the number, too. I don't think there was as many numbers as that they're claiming, but obviously they're going to beef the number up. But Chicago was a better show last year. There's no doubt about it. And I expect it to be a good show next year, too. My worry is, you know, I want my cards back first, Colin. That's the thing I would like back, which are probably already fenced or he's already did something with them, obviously, or some kind of restitution to take care of that because it wasn't, you know, these didn't grow on lease and it wasn't free to take. The charges that were set by the Atlantic City are second-degree theft by unlawful taking, Colin. That's the first charge. The second charge is theft by deception, which obviously that was true too. So they carry 10 to 20 years. Now, whether they do or not, I heard you joking about an attorney or whatever else. We're going to stay on this because this is something I'm adamant about. And I've always been adamant about putting pieces of, excuse my French, pieces of shit in the hobby in jail. And we've helped with two others that went to prison and 3 that went to jail in my illustrious career. The problem with the big sports card industry, and this is what I really hate to tell people, is my old number used to be this, Colin. I used to be able to trust 40% of the room.
Right.
I'm not so sure that number's so high anymore, Colin.
What do you think it is now?
Myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got constituents in there, really good guys. I mean, there's some great guys. Kevin Savage is great. You know, B&E Collectibles is great. I know you guys were questioning another buddy of mine who's BBCE, Steve Hart. I've known him for many years. I mean, there's some really good people in that building. But I would tell you 25% to 30. And the problem is I love the hobby. I'm still a collector. You know, I'm a dealer, obviously. We got a great following, Colin. We appreciate even you talking to us, and saying, hey, thank you for having us on the show or whatever. But just to get the word out that this guy is bad, and I don't want to see that happen to anybody else, Colin. No, that's my main thing. I really don't. And then we talked to another dealer, just to give you an insight. There was another dealer involved that came there earlier, which is his buddy, which is a known trimmer out of Michigan. And his name was Ralph Hahn, H-A-H-N. He's also on that list that I handed out before I left. This guy was at my booth, and I know he's a known trimmer and all this other stuff, and he kept lowballing me on some cards. I wouldn't want to sell to him anyway. I told him to go away. He could have some involvement in this. This is the guy that could be some of the fence. Other things that came to me was that there's a guy in Florida that he's fencing to, that he was flying to Florida, and that he has a bad gambling habit, and when they go to Philadelphia, he's always in Atlantic City. He's got a problem with that. So, there's some stuff has been coming up from all these guys from Ohio, and I got to believe them. I mean, they're afraid. Some of these guys are afraid to say anything because they're afraid of it.
Sure.
I'm not afraid of him. I don't care. I'm an ex-soldier. I'm a concealed carry. I don't care what how tough the guy thinks he is. As far as I'm concerned, he's a fat piece of crap, and he's lower. How do you sleep at night, Colin? I mean, that's what I want to know.
Right.
People like that don't deserve to be in the hobby. And we got to do something to stop them, Colin, or it's just going to continue. But go ahead, Colin.
What did the police say they were going to be able to do? Like, if he gets pulled over in Ohio, I mean, what happens there? Is he basically, if he never steps foot back in New Jersey, he might be safe here? Or what is the cops and kind of the law enforcement told you they can do, kind of, to pull this guy from, I guess, Ohio back into New Jersey?
I don't have the court date yet, but the court date is there. Okay, he will get his chance to go to court. Now, he refused. I know you said something about it on your show before. He refused to come in on Monday. They called him. Detective McCabe is the guy. If anybody wants to contact him and has any information, I'd be greatly, and I'd actually give a reward to someone that would help out. You know what I'm saying? Glad with that. But Detective Thomas McCabe is the detective that took it over. He was a really good guy. At this point, I just want to see him get put in jail. I want to see him pay for what he did. I want to get paid back for what I lost, if that makes sense. That's all I'm asking. To me, it's not a joke, if that makes sense, Colin. It's serious, and that's why I kind of wanted to set the story straight with you too, sir. So that's kind of.
It's crazy. You did 7 years of business with him. Do you think he came in with the intention from Thursday on, from when he got the pass from you, that he was going to rob you at some point?
Yes, I think he had intention even before that, because he had contacted me in April telling me how much money he was going to bring and this and that. And then why would you start talking about the money and the bag and whatever else before you even bought anything when you walked up to the booth? That was a little odd, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, yeah, it was a setup. He looked like he was a little jittery, too, which was kind of weird, but I don't know. I mean, the guy, a guy like that really... A lot of times they don't show emotion because they're lifetime thieves. I just helped them catch the guy that I had arrested and put in prison here in Chicago, which was they robbed Elite Sports Cards, which is Ronnie Holloway.
I heard about that.
Yep. I was the one that put him in prison the first time for a $3,200 bad check because he had so many counts against him. Sure. And now he's a 17-time felon, if that makes sense. Well, they got him again. you know, and he's out of Oak Brook or Oak Park, somewhere down in there. But he got my buddy Ronnie. Ronnie is the ex-bodyguard, one of the ex-bodyguards for Michael Jordan, believe it or not, and an ex-Chicago police officer. Solid as you could be, you know. I mean, just, you know, it's just too bad that we have these kind of people in our industry, and I don't know what the sole purpose is, quite frankly, Colin, of your show. But I can tell you this: we would like to have your help as dealers, some of us, to help catch these pieces of shit. You know, they need to be off the street. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely.
It makes the hobby look like crap. You think I want to talk about the hobby in a negative direction? No, hell no. This is the hobby I make a living at. You know, it's just, I mean, my stomach is sick just talking about it anytime I have. I mean, I was talking to Kit Young, which you know Kit Young is probably, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right after it happened, right outside the hotel after it was done, and I talked to Larry for the first time, and I was just sick to my stomach. And Kit just shook his head and said, you know, there's always some piece of trash. You know, there's always, you know. It's too bad, Rick. I'm sorry. You know, and I've had numerous calls from multiple dealers on the board, not on the board, just, you know, people that bought from us and said, Rick, we hope we catch them. And, you know, and one way of doing it, Colin, is for you, you know, to look at the whole picture and say, hey, you know what, maybe we want to help out too. Maybe it's okay to tell them what's gone and what's missing, and, you know, maybe someone bumps into them. Maybe he tries to grade it. We've contacted the grading companies, some of the bigger dealers, and, you know, that we've done business with over the years, you know, and some of the smaller ones in the small shows. You know, I hear I was in a show this weekend in Iowa City, and a guy said to me, hey, Rick, he says, were you the guy that was took? Yeah, I was. So.
Is there a picture of this Russell Porter? Do we have an image of him? I haven't dug into it and to see if we have any pictures of him. I'd love to put that, you know, everywhere so that people can see.
I would love for you to do so too. I've got a picture of him I can forward to you.
Absolutely send that to me. I'd love to plaster his face, kind of a wanted poster style, and get this guy well known so that people can look out for him. Because it does sound like, you know, this is somebody you knew, somebody you called a friend, somebody you trusted, obviously. Have you ever, I guess a couple people are probably listening to this and they have a hang up of, you know, he took these 29 cards and he went and handed them to somebody else. Is that kind of customary in the dealer world? Maybe like somebody comes up to your table that you maybe know pretty well. Will you let them go take those cards, maybe show another dealer? Or has that something you've done before?
Only if you were someone I've done business with for many years would I even let you leave the booth with the cards. And I guess I trusted him too much, Colin. It was, you know, I'm taking the heat for that alone. I understand that, but it's still theft. It's an unlawful taking, obviously, and it's definitely
of course.
A deception, Colin. I mean, it's, you know, it's more. There's more to it than just, you know, whatnot. But we're also, just so you know, contacting an attorney for a civil suit also. So we're going to try to wrap his ass up as much as we can. You know.
What happened to the $1,000? Did you get to keep that, or did the police confiscate that, or how did that work?
The $1,000 is evidence, and the bag.
Okay, so that's all. Okay. And how was the value of the cards determined? The $87,000. Like how was that?
The only reason they went with that, which is, you know, even if I didn't have the Robinson and their Robinson, it was just a raw book value. You know, Beckett value.
Beckett. Okay.
Beckett high value at $87,000, and that's how they determined that these cards were $87,800. By the way, there was one graded card in there, and that was a PSA 5 Roberto Clemente, who was my favorite player. So.
Okay.
I had purchased 5 of them at the show, but he just so happens to pick out the nicest one.
And do you think he's taking these cards, maybe like we were talking about card trimming? Do you think he possibly is taking these cards, maybe doctoring them up a little bit and eventually submitting them to grade? What do you think he did with these cards?
I think he's fencing the cards, if you want my own thing. I've got a couple leads to where he's been fencing stuff in Florida and some other things, and sent out some messages to other people. But yeah, they're definitely being fenced. There's no doubt about it.
And just for people,
they're going across fencing, so everybody understands, is taking a stolen item and selling them somewhere else. And usually it means they're taking it across state lines, which once you reach state lines, then it becomes federal. Okay, then you're talking about federal. Now, I have talked to the FBI, just so you know, and you might know who the guy is that I talked to. I bet you do. And that would be Mr. Brian Mastakis, who's really good at his job.
Right.
Out of the Chicago division, who busted Mastro. And all them other cases he did. Nothing against Bill. I don't know him that well, so I'm not going to speak in part of that. You know what I'm saying? But sure. I can just tell you that he's been around. He's been popping a lot of people's heads. So got some insight with him. He was doing some help with Cincinnati and Cleveland, supposedly, to have some people helping out in that area also. So we hope that any help that you or the FBI, the cops, anybody, just nail him. I don't care how they do it, just nail him. I do know this: if he gets if the warrant, if there's a warrant, they will take his ass back to New Jersey.
Okay, so if something happens in another state, he's going to get dragged back to New Jersey to face these charges.
Well, let's put it this way: if they serve a warrant on you, let's say they serve a warrant on him in Ohio,
okay,
or there's a warrant on him in Ohio, okay, or in New Jersey, they pull him over and they say, hey, there's a warrant for this guy in Atlantic City, New Jersey for an $80,000 theft. Good chances are he'll be taking a trip to Atlantic City, whether he wants to go there or not.
Sure.
And then he has to go in front of a grand jury. So, it's. I know you guys bust a lot of chops on there, and it's okay. I kind of chuckled at some of your stuff. I watched some of your show and whatnot. I just didn't want to be involved. I just didn't want to be involved in the part where, hey, you know what? This is true, Colin, and I'm giving you everything I got. I mean, it makes me sick to my stomach. It almost brings tears to your eyes because you hate talking about it. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, when I left, Colin, I didn't want to sell another baseball card at all. I had told some of my best friends that I didn't want to sell anything. I'm fried. And I went, and then what I did was the next weekend I went on the road, or a week and a half, 2 weeks after, just to get on the road to get my mind off of it.
Sure.
It's a constant reminder when someone calls you. And you appreciate them saying, hey, I'm so sorry, but it still isn't bringing anything back to the table.
Sure. Right. Yeah, these
you
cards
really don't know. You really don't know it until you've been hit, Colin. It'd be like someone coming into your place and saying, Colin, you trust them, and the guy, does this and that. It doesn't matter what kind of theft it is. It's still theft. Whether it be deception, whether it be theft by unlawful taking, it's still the same. And we have witnesses, which is I wanted to kind of bring out to you too, because the way it sounded when I heard the thing first time on there, no, I got witnesses. That's the plus.
Sure.
The smart thing is I asked for 2 witnesses to open the boxes at the very end, because we had no intention of opening the bag to the very end. Which I think
because you could see one of his defenses. He could come back and say, well, wait, there was 100,000 in those boxes. Sure. But you had people watching when you opened the bags.
2 of them. I asked for 2 of them, yes. Mm-hmm. Yep, I absolutely did.
There's a pretty good chance that Russell Porter is possibly watching this. We have a pretty wide audience. Is there anything that you would want to say to him? Somebody that you knew, and now this guy, pretty much jacks you, right?
What I like to say to Russ is this: come clean. You did wrong. Whatever they do, they do. They'll probably be lesser on you if you came clean. But the big question I have for Russ is, when you go to sleep at night, how do you sleep? Do you sleep well, Russ? Because many people you've taken, you just fucked with the wrong guy. And that's what I want to say to him.
Rick, why don't you tell everybody, you've been really gracious with your time, and this is a tough story, I'm sure, for you to talk about. Why don't you tell everybody where they can actually find you? You've been a longtime sports card dealer. Why don't you give a little shout out to your business and where everybody can find you?
Yeah, my name's Rick Giddings. I'm the owner of Gizmo Sports Cards. We're located in Davis Junction, Illinois, not too far from Rockford, Illinois, if anybody knows where that's at. We're about 70, 80 miles northwest of Rockford, Illinois. You can reach me at pirate8@AOL.com. That's my email address. You can reach me, there's a number of different ways. You can reach me on my phone, which is 815-540-5206. If you have any direct information for the case, please reach Thomas McCabe, Tom's the guy to kind of go to out of the Atlantic City Police Detectives. He's the guy kind of handling the case, and he's done a great job, and he's been very supportive and kind of jacked me up because I have my Penguin hat on. I'm a Penguin, a Pirate, and a Steeler fan. And he said to me when I walked in, he goes, "I can't help you. I'm a Flyer fan." I said, "Well, I apologize." You know, so. But they were pretty good with me. I mean, they brought me in separately than they did the other witnesses, and he was very professional. And he's, you know, there's some things we can share, some things we can't share, Colin. I'll share as much as I possibly can with you, so you can help me in any which way or form. You know, and I appreciate you guys' time too. I really do.
No, we appreciate you, and then we'll get that if you can get me that picture of Russell Porter out there.
You got it. You got it. I think I have your email address, and I think a friend of mine sent you a thing too, saying, "Are you the guy that does the sports cleared radio you just got from somebody?" And we'll send that picture to you, and we'll get it to you as soon as possible. Okay.